ToonGrin.com.
What's the toughest thing about being a superhero? Trying to live a normal life.
Hello and welcome to Watchin' Stuff, the show about watching stuff. And hey!
Oh my god, I'm here!
Yeah, we're visiting each other for a while, so expect actual sitting side by side and discussing films and shows and what
Like
have you.
friends.
Yeah, I guess if you want to call it that. I mean, if you have to put a label on it.
That's so hurtful.
Yeah. Anyways, we're actually going to discuss today, we're going to be talking about The Incredibles. I believe it was a 2004 animated film, Pixar, Disney. I think it was before the merger finally happened.
Yeah.
Because there was some stuff about
Yeah,
some background drama.
But seeing as how Incredibles 2 is coming out, we thought it was timely to talk about the first Incredibles and just give our
Does it
thoughts.
hold up?
Yeah.
You know, because like, what has it been, 15 some odd years, I think?
Yeah, something around there.
Something, let me check my phone, because I can pull up data. That's the age we live in.
On Wikipedia,
It's information, sure, it's information gathered by like a bunch of randos, but it's
information.
information all the same. Superhero movie.
Yeah.
You know,
Like, what are your takes on superhero movies in general?
I'm kind of sick of them, to be quite honest, and it's honestly on the it's on the DC side of things. I'm sick of more than I am on the Marvel side of things, and it comes down to Marvel movies. They feel like they try to interject different genres into their films, like Winter Soldier is a spy thriller. Guardians of the Galaxy is sort of like it's like high concept fantasy, you know, Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon, maybe even a little bit of spaghetti western in there because the main character does feel kind of Han Solo-y.
Right.
And with the DC films, you had Green Lantern, which was supposed to be the start of their cinematic universe, and that bombed miserably.
Yeah, hard.
So then they said, no, that's not the start of it. And then there was supposed to be Man of Steel, and that was supposed to be its own movie. And then they backpedaled because they saw that Marvel money, and they were like, no, now it's the start. Even though it was very clear it was supposed to be a standalone. And something about the DC films, to me, suffer from a sense of generic superhero film. Like there are boxes that you tick to make a superhero film. You need to establish the villain, you need to establish a love interest of some sort for the lead, and then you need to establish like what the lead's abilities are. It's very you can see it if you watch like Ghost Rider. It's very humdrum, paint by the numbers.
Right, exactly. And that's sort of what my take on a lot of superhero movies are.
Yeah.
'Cause those aren't sort of the movies that I go out to see. Like, very stereotypically, I go out to see all the animated movies and such.
Yeah.
Because I find more colorful range of narrative, art style, just direction, and all that sort of stuff. But I'll go out to see a superhero movie, like if with friends or all that, and I can still get into it, all the swashbuckling adventure and all that sort of stuff. But I don't feel I usually have the emotional attachment to it because, you know, I haven't read the comics, and I only just know most of the stuff through nerd osmosis.
Yeah, with the Marvel films, you probably would be fine on, quite honestly.
Yeah.
Because the Marvel films are less intrusive in that you don't need to read Guardians of the Galaxy to understand what's Rocket's deal or Drax the Destroyer's deal.
Right.
But like something like Man of Steel, which is looked at as a, what do they call it, deconstruction of Superman. For the first movie to launch a cinematic universe and it's already pulling Superman apart, that tells me I have to go into this movie knowing fully well who Superman is, how he works, and how things are done, even though this is supposed to be a all-new, reimagined interpretation of the character.
Right, exactly. And just for a general audience, some of that could have just turned off people because...
Turned me the hell off, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, it just turns you off because there's no emotional attachment to that character that you can actually deconstruct and such.
Right.
So basically, Brad Bird, the director behind Iron Giant and such...
Ratatouille?
Ratatouille 2 decided to basically make a superhero movie for the general audience that basically anyone could basically just jump into and just really get.
Yeah, I mean, he used typical superhero archetypes.
Yeah.
So it's very clear the Incredibles are the Fantastic Four. You know, because even though there's 5, because there's Jack, the only 4 that are active at doing the superheroics are Mr. Incredible, Mrs. Incredible, aka Elastigirl,
Yeah.
Dash, which is both his superhero name, I guess, and his civilian name, which is,
Like-
I guess, kind of works because, I mean...
It's like, Dash, I just saw Dash the superhero just come across the school. Yeah.
I'm gonna love that moment if they play that in the second one, where like one of the kids are like, "Man, I saw Dash run by. He was so chill," and like real Dash is like, "Yeah, he was."
Yeah. It's like, Dash, do you know about Dash?
And then Violet is Violet.
Yeah. Just the introvert character.
Yeah. And they play also with the typical, not even just superhero atypical, but family dynamic.
Right.
So you know, the father who wants to relive the glory days. He was at the top of his game. You know, he was at his prime where everything went kaput.
Yeah. And then after it went kaput, superheroes just basically just went under, and everyone had to go back to their normal lives. Where Elastigirl is just sort of Lance, because she just wants to live her normal life, have her kids lead normal lives, and that's just her character arc for the whole thing. And the kids are basically just sort of like have to react to all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, which is, in my opinion, well, going with the narrative, the basic premise is it's very much like Watchin, another. For many comic book readers, Watchmen, if you don't know about it too much, is the quintessential comic, because everybody looks at it like, oh, it's such a great deconstruction on the genre, and it really, you know, it really set a precedent of how superheroes can be real people. And then if you're like me and you've read the comic multiple times and you've seen the movie multiple times, you realize they're all just sort of a bunch of jerks, and that's kind of it. Like, I understand what the breakdown is that Alan Moore did. Like,
right.
Rorschach is if Batman was realistic, because realistically, if you were Batman, you'd probably be crazy.
Oh, most likely, yeah.
You'd be very mentally unstable, and the horrible stuff you see on a regular basis from the villains you fight, like the Joker,
right.
You'd probably be very unhinged and very cruel.
Of course.
And, you know, that's the thing is, like, what Alan Moore interjected into these characters was he interjected the concept of, what if they reacted like real-world people, which is fine, and a lot of people really seem to favor that in terms of the genre of superheroes. It's one of the things I always hear people say about Man of Steel, why they like it, is they're like, this Superman feels like a real person.
Yeah.
Which to me is always upsetting, because that makes me infer that's like, so you're saying when he's honest and good and true and all the, you know, all the positive that Superman is, you're saying that you can't engage in that because it's unrealistic to find somebody that good.
Yeah, and that's just sort of depressing in a lot of sense when you're just a reader like us who wants just more the optimism of the hero and such.
Well, it's the in Superman's case, it's most certainly the optimism, because if he wasn't as good and kind and humble as he was with the gifts that he has, there's no reason why crime should ever be a problem on the planet.
Right.
That's why something like Man of Steel to me, where in Man of Steel he commits murder at the very, very end of the film, and even though there are debatable quotes from Zack Snyder saying, "Oh, don't worry, we'll answer that in the sequel in Batman v Superman," and then within like the first 5 minutes of that film, he also commits murder again, showing that I guess he's fine.
Yeah.
Because like according to Zack Snyder, in one interview, he had said, "Oh, you don't get it. He needs to commit murder to understand why he doesn't like it," which to me is ridiculous, because I don't need to stab somebody to know I shouldn't stab somebody.
That's mostly just what society has told us.
Yeah, you know, it's common sense, I guess. It's what I'm saying. Common sense would dictate that you wouldn't do horrible things because you know not to do them. But you know, my takeaway from that when it came to like BVS then was like, oh, I guess Superman has a taste for it. It's like a shark with blood in the water because he kills. And that's the thing, is that this movie takes sort of what Alan Moore was doing with the deconstruction concept, but he doesn't make it too miserable.
No, he makes he makes it more mild-mannered in a sense.
Yeah, which is that's also indicative of Superman. You know, he's mild-mannered reporter Clark Kent. That's why nobody suspects him.
Yeah, and this is mild-mannered Bob Parr when he's basically just pulled out of the superhero life and now he's just working for an insurance agency.
Yeah, he's like an insurance salesman, basically.
Yeah, and then he gets fired from that because he was basically helping people with insurance.
I love that because it shows a interesting level of toxicity. As an adult, you know, if you're paying like premiums and stuff, you're like, yeah, the insurance company's a bunch of bloodsuckers. But there's also a nice juxtaposition where it's like, insurance. Okay, this is a superhero. This is essentially the Superman of this universe. He was at the top of his game, and he had to stop being Superman. What else can I do that allows me to help people through legal means? Insurance, right? Like, people come to me with their problems, and I find a way to help them. But then you see, like, the company he works at, they essentially just want to drain people of money. It shows the cynicism of that, where it's like, this was a guy who wants to do good, and even legally, he still wanted to do good, and he can't.
Yeah.
Because he gets punished for it.
Yeah, because the world is just basically saying, like, you can't do it like that. You just can't help people in a way that would basically be happy for us.
Yeah, and that goes back to the writings of a Superman argument, where it's like, how am I supposed to write Superman if he's nigh invulnerable and he's so strong? And I always hear the argument, he could fix any problem with a punch, which is just a ridiculous argument, really. Like,
exactly.
He couldn't go to Lex Luthor in his ivory tower and be like, punch! I fixed you! You rich bald-headed jerkwad! I'm Superman! And the idea is, with, like, Bob Parr, is it's like being Superman.
Yeah.
You want to do good, and you don't want to step on anyone's toes, so you're doing it the legal way.
Yeah.
And even when he does it the legal way and the right way, the world itself is challenging him, where it's like, no, we don't want your heroics, we don't like what you do, we don't want it.
We want you just normal.
Yeah, we don't want you to be an exception.
Yeah. Like, that's what I feel like the beginning of this whole movie is, like, really one of those strongest parts of the movie. Like, before, like, the whole superhero trend of basically just sort of just got kicked out into being normal and such. Like, we have Bob going through his heroics for that one day. Where, the first one is like, what? He stops a guy getting away in a getaway car and he's smashing a tree in his face.
Yeah, like, he's supposed to be heading to his wedding, but he stops to help a old woman get her cat out of the tree, and he uses the same tree that he pulled out of the ground to stop a getaway driver.
Yeah. And then you see, like, oh, thank you, Mr. Incredible, you're amazing. Just like that just sets it up for us.
You know, that's the golden age, where it's like, you're a superhero, so people appreciate you for what you do.
Yep, and then that's when things start to break down after he also stops a purse snatcher as well and meets up with Elastigirl. Because the next crime he stops is basically a suicide jumper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where he basically leaps across a gap, grabs him, smashes into a bank building, and saves his life. But also,
he didn't save his life; he ruined his death. You heard the man in the neck brace.
Yeah.
You heard the ingrate in the neck brace.
Yep, exactly, and that's just sort of the start of the whole thing. Because one of the first things that happens after he saves the day on that one, the suicide jumper sues him for saving his life.
That feels like such a Marvel Universe civilian thing to do, where it's like, I've read comic books where Spider-Man has been in situations where it's like, one issue, he does something heroic, and civilians are like, thanks, Spidey, you're alright. And then literally the next issue is like, oh no, those like henchmen are about to get killed, and he saves them because he's Spider-Man.
It's so like, screw you, Spider-Man, how dare you save them?
All of a sudden, it's just like, how dare you? You menace to society. And it's like, oh, this is such a Marvel Universe thing where everybody turns on you. Like, people like turn on Captain America, where it's like, oh, well, Cap, these Nazis are having a march. We're trying to beat them up. And Captain America says, you can't just go around and assaulting people. So yeah, no, like, that's the thing, where the Jumper... First off, the Jumper's selfish, because first off, he clearly wanted it to be a spectacle, because he went to the tallest building he could in the city.
Yeah, just waited till everyone just had the spotlights on him and all that. It's like, I'm gonna jump now, whee!
Yeah, so everybody watches him. It's like, oh, so you're just an attention seeker.
You just wanted your death to be the biggest spectacle of all.
Yeah.
That's a selfish thing to do.
It is. It's very selfish, because, like, it shows you that if he really just wanted to just die, there are literally tons of quiet ways he could have done it, but he had to do it in the one way that was going to be catching attention.
To basically make his mark on the world.
Yeah. And then Mr. Incredible, he dives, saves his life, but ruins his death. And he just so happened and so fortunately landed in a building that's being robbed by arguably one of the greatest supervillains to ever be conceived.
Bon voyage.
Bon Voyage, a Frenchman
With bombs.
but he looks like a mime.
Yeah. And that's funny.
I think it's so that's such a Silver Age like supervillain concept. It's like like Batman fights a guy called the Penguin, so it's a short fat dude with a long nose and an umbrella and a tuxedo. Why? Because penguins look like fat little guys in tuxedos.
Yeah, it's just funny like that. And then after Bon Voyage, basically one of Bon Voyage's bombs lands on the train tracks, blows that up, and the train's just heading right towards the gap.
We're missing the fact that
we'll get to that because his sidekick is another whole part of the story.
That's true. It is.
We're talking right now. It's just more like you're
the
talking
setup
about
of how the damage got happened.
Yeah, the Marvel citizens and
yeah.
such.
So like,
bomb explodes the bridge. Mr. Incredible sees it like, oh no!
This whole train full of people is gonna plunge to their death unless they stop them, and he does. He stops the train from going over, and then when the one guy sues, every person on that train comes up and it's like, yeah, you know what?
I'm gonna sue him too.
I'm gonna sue him too. And again, that's such a Marvel civilian thing.
That is the most dirtbag thing to do.
Yeah. Like, what was the alternative? You have two options. Option A, you potentially get whiplash, or
die.
You plunge to your death.
Exactly.
So, I think the words you're looking for are thank you.
You're welcome.
How unfair is it that all these supers are treated like this after they save all these people's lives?
Yeah.
That basically puts you in the mindset of Bob Parr after all this time. Because he feels that it's unfair and such, and now he's in the insurance and all that, and going through this dull mundanity. And we feel like, oh my god, how unfair is this? We want to see Mr. Incredible doing the incredible things. And this puts him in the right mindset to go along to this thematic journey with him.
Yeah, and that's the thing where it comes down to the idea of like, you know, like the name infers, Mr. Incredible. And he lives in such mediocrity. He's got a tiny, mediocre car. He's got a job he hates, and he can't even fully help people the way he wants to. He has a demeaning boss, played hilariously by Wallace Shawn. And, you know, like, he adores his wife and he adores his family, but this was the guy, he was at the top of his game. He was in his prime. He was getting married. Everything seemed like it was going to be so good. It was like, you know, it was going to be like a bright future. And then everything, much like that train, got derailed.
Yep, and just completely. And then one day he basically snaps at his boss, who is just a dirtbag and all that, strangles him a bit, and basically gets fired from his job.
I actually like that scene because it shows you, like, if he didn't see an innocent civilian getting the hell beaten out of them and being mugged, that meeting probably wouldn't have ended up the way it was.
No, he probably would have just sat there just like, okay.
Yeah, and just dealt... Because you could tell when that meeting happens, you could tell he's been in this situation before.
Yeah, he's basically reiterating just points like he doesn't even have to mention at all. Yeah.
And that's the thing is like Bob he's stuck in this cycle of mediocrity. He goes to a job he hates. He comes home to, you know, essentially a hovel compared to like what he probably was used to. Because again, you know, he was the Superman, and it's kind of upsetting to him. And you can see it's not just upsetting to him on a personal level where it's like, man, I used to be the top dog on campus. Now everything sucks. But it's also like, I want to do better for my family. They deserve better than this.
Yeah, and that's sort of the smart thing about it, because in a lot of other these sort of stories, you just be like, I just want to be special again, and just I don't care about my family and all that. I just want something for me.
Yeah, you know, I want the glory days, and that's it.
Yeah, but that's not really what Bob Parr's thing is at all.
It's a small portion, but it's not the whole portion.
Yeah, because like one of the key things that he always talks about, like with his family and his kids and such, like you should be okay with your powers. You should be more than happy to basically use them and such. That's his belief and such. And then his wife is at the opposite, because you have to stay low, but stay secret, and just keep them under it. Not feel ashamed of them, but just not basically push yourself forward.
Yeah, basically her mentality is this submissive concept of, let's just keep it on the low. Let's stay quiet. Let's not draw attention, and we could just be happy with that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even feel like she believes what she's saying, but she's saying it because she knows that, to an extent, she's right. Because there was the huge ban on you know, the supers.
Yeah, you gotta appease those sort of people so you can basically earn their trust back.
Yeah, and I think it also comes from the fact that she's thinking about it as like a mother,
Right.
where it's like, I just want to protect you from having to deal with crap.
Yeah.
And Dash is like a little kid, Violet's a teen, so she's gonna be going through her own mess of stuff eventually.
Yeah.
Not in this movie. She won't go through anything.
She did have an emo fringe for a time.
Yeah, that's yes.
And then she put her hair back, and then she was completely
And
fine.
wearing pink, and then that was a character arc.
Yeah, there you go.
Character arc.
Yeah, exactly. So, how did Bob Parr basically get out of that hovel?
He got fortunate enough that a mysterious woman
Named Mirage.
God, that's so comic book. Like, yeah, but a mysterious woman shows up and she's been spying on him, and you see like he still does the super heroics,
Yeah.
and his wife even knows about it,
Yeah.
and she's upset because like, you need to stop doing this.
Yeah, every time you get caught, we had to keep on moving.
We had to move. We had to uplift our lives. This isn't fair to the kids because the kids need some kind of settlement. They need to sit down. They need to form a foundation. You can't keep having to move them around like this.
Yeah, so now Bob is offered by Mirage, basically this new sort of superhero job. Basically go to this tropical island and basically help them stop this like super evil robot that's basically gone haywire and such.
Yeah.
And basically just kickstarting its old heroics again. And so Bob, of course, accepts, just like, oh my god, I'm gonna be a superhero again.
I can live the glory days I had.
Yeah, so he puts on his tights, shows off the dad fat, and basically just goes off and beats the robot.
Yeah, and then you see though through a montage where it's like, you think this is all glory day stuff,
Yeah.
where it's like, oh, it's all about me and me feeling, better about myself. But you see over time where it's like, he's taking care of the family. He buys his wife a car. He gets himself a car, like the car he had in the
Yeah.
first act when he was Mr. Incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Like you had the whole scene beforehand where he and Mirage are basically having sort of like a quote unquote romantic dinner together next to like this evil fire wall and all that, and you get that sort of inkling as it's going along the lines of, oh yes, I'm feeling feelings for you or anything like.
Yeah, because when I was the top hero, I bet you, being like he was the Superman, I bet you tons of women were into the idea of like who Mr. Incredible was, where it's like, he's so dreamy and he's so strong and powerful. Because, like, you're like a celebrity.
Right.
So, like, at first you're like, oh, man, he's, like, cheating on his wife. What a jerk. Oh, no, he totally loves his wife, like, unconditionally.
Yeah, like, nothing he ever does is just like I want to be with Mirage.
No, nothing really. Like, he only seemed like he was kind of being flirtatious to her because she was being flirtatious back. And he's like, oh, is this okay? This is how we used to do it in the old days, actually, as superheroes.
Yeah, and he just sort of easily flew back into that, and basically just sort of his way of basically just squeezing information out of her.
Yeah. And, then over time we see, like, he defeats the robot, and, like, his suit gets damaged. So, we see, like, a montage of him, he's earning money, he's, paying for things in the house.
Losing all the dad fat.
Losing all the debt. I do love that scene where part of the way he starts getting into shape is he spends time with his son.
Yeah.
So it's him just like throwing the football, but because he's so strong, when he throws the football, it goes like miles away.
Yeah, and Dash has super speed, so he's able to just zip over there, grab it, and come right bound back.
Yeah, I would have liked it if he did something with his daughter, though.
Yeah, that would have been cute. That would have added a little bit more character to Violet, definitely.
Yeah, and I think obviously the main character I would say in this movie is Bob. It's all about him, not just a reliving of the glory days, but it's also a family man. And I remember saying this to you countless times when we were watching it. I kept saying, this is how you write a Superman character. If they're physically too strong and they're nigh invulnerable, then the way you hurt them is all about emotional and psychological. That's when they're vulnerable.
Yeah, and because this whole movie is basically everything that he basically faces, his main hurdles are mostly emotional hurdles.
Yeah, it's everything. It's like challenging, like working at the insurance agency, that's challenging his belief.
Yeah.
We're an insurance company. We're supposed to be a safety net to protect people should something bad happen. But your boss and your higher-ups are telling you, no. Your concern is about getting us the money we need.
Yeah. And then his most easiest hurdle ever passed was actually facing the robot the first time. On the island, he just goes there, gets a cut on his arm, and that's it. He's able to defeat
And throws
it.
out his back.
Yeah. Well, the robot fixed his back too.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, he goes to Edna, basically gets his new superhero suit, and Edna is played by Brad Bird after all. Like, I didn't know that for many years. I just thought
Doesn't it sound like a woman?
yeah, I thought she was actually just a funny woman voice.
Edna used to be like the costume designer for superhero. What did she say? She says like, I used to design for gods. And she's got this big statue of like a big golden statue.
Yeah,
She's
with
like,
a cape.
cape made of water.
Yeah.
And she's like, I used to do this. And now I give supermodels clothes. This sucks.
Yeah, just the character of Edna is actually a really good inclusion in the movie, because in a way, thematically, it's just basically that sort of drive to always want to be a superhero. It's just all in her. Like, she just wants to basically develop for superheroes always. She hates working with supermodels and all that.
She doesn't. For her, being uber rich, working with supermodels, traveling, going to places like Peru and Milan, that's mundane. That's mediocrity to her.
Yeah, that's boring. That's all awful for her.
Look at all these exotic places I get to go. Yes, darling, but I used to make costumes, colorful tights for crazy people who fought other crazy people.
Yeah.
I used to have it all, and now I still technically have it all, but I'm just not doing the costume part.
Yeah, that's just she's almost like the thematic, basically, manifestation of the whole movie. Just being proud of basically that sort of crazy superhero in you.
Yeah, she's proud of. It's almost like if you were to treat this like, okay, it's like the Marvel versus DC argument in the films, where it's like the Marvel films, they get pretty ridiculous. I mean, their last film, a big like 12-foot tall purple dude with like a wrinkly chin showed up with a magic glove to like blow up the universe or something.
Right.
And like the DC universe, it's always about like, this is what, like, it'd be real if Superman came to Earth. This is what it would be like. And it's all miserable and dreary and sad. That's exactly what the challenge is in this, where it's like, you could have the dreary and miserable as a backdrop, but the charm about having superheroes is like
the color
and the insanity of it, the strangeness of it, the imagination of it. Because I think people forget at the end of the day, superheroes were made for children. They were made, Well,
I would not really want to say for children, because we always are sort of against that argument. It's like, oh, well, this cartoon is just for kids.
No, but I don't mean like just for kids, but I mean the idea is like Superman being the upstanding character he is. Yeah, it's supposed
to be for like basically almost a moral
role model.
Yeah,
like,
role model.
Superman's not supposed to have a character arc. His thing is that you're supposed, as a kid, you look at him and think to yourself, I want to be like him. I want to be good.
Like when you first see Batman and such, I want to be like that guy who's strong enough to basically go past his parents' death, basically do great things.
Yeah, he takes his pain and makes it into a strength. It's not like in a Marvel universe where half the time the majority of the heroes are, I was a jerk, and I will continue to be a jerk. Oh, now I've learned to be humble. Oh, and you're like, oh, jeez. That's the majority of Marvel heroes, though. Like Iron Man, I make weapons of mass destruction. Yeah, you murder men, women, and children.
And
wait, I got shrapnel. Oh, is this what I do? Yes. You kill countless men, women, and children with your weapons, Tony.
Well, I better make more weapons for myself.
To fight more people.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or put money towards, humanitarian efforts.
He does do that too. It's overlooked for, I made a stupid suit of armor, and I'm an alcoholic in a death suit of armor. That's the thing, though. These feel like a middle ground. Like, they're almost DC in that they're upstanding people, but they also have the closer to realism of Marvel characters.
Right.
And that's where it works. Because, again, Bob, his whole thing is about, I was at the top of my game, and I lost it. I do want to get it back, but you could tell he's a family man. He loves his family. That's why he's upset with his wife about things where it's like, Dash should be able to go out for sports. And she's like, he can't. He's competitive, and if his gift gets out, we're going to have to uplift our lives, and it'll ruin everything. Yeah. And all the dad wants is like, I just want my freaking baby boy to be happy.
Yeah.
That's it. I just want my baby boy to be happy.
Yeah, I just want us to be okay with just using our powers still, and in a limited capacity.
Yeah. I think the only character, we'll get to that, because I want to talk about Syndrome.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, because then after that point on what we were talking about before, it's like Bob gets back to the island and he basically, like, surprise, there's an even bigger battle robot that basically just comes out, snatches him, beats the crap out of him, and the true villain is revealed, and that is Syndrome. But who is Syndrome? Well, back in the beginning,
some creepy, really creepy fanboy. And you know the thing is I love about this, I don't know if it was maybe intentional from the get-go, I think it might have been, but he's one of those toxic fanboys.
I would say he's more toxic in sort of this sense of like, I gotta put myself in everything he does, I gotta be his sidekick.
Buddy Pines is this creepy little sycophant who's like really into the hero worship to the unhealthy degree.
Yeah, just trying to insert himself into Bob's Mr. Incredible's life.
So, I'm your sidekick.
I'm Incrediboy! No.
Not even close.
Like, you don't just step into my car and instantly become that.
You know how weird that would be if, like, Batman, like, sat down and then, like, he turns over and the little kid's like, I'm Robin! What the hell?
Get out of my car!
What's happened?
And then the police knocks.
Come on, my ward!
And the police knocks on the windows like, Batman, what's this kid doing here?
Batmace! Come on, my ward! And then, like, just peels out.
In his little white van.
Oh, it'd be his Batmobile. Which is essentially, like...
a black van.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing he doesn't do is, like, we never see Batman, like, holding his hand outside the car and being like, "Hey, you kids want some bat candy?"
It tastes like crap.
Oh, it's supposed to taste like knockout drugs. He's mine now. Crime has taken this child from the city. He just throws him in the back seat, and then when he gets back home, oh, jeez, Master Wayne, not again. Oh, Lord in heaven, really?
Why is there a pile of them now?
Look at all these kids. What am I supposed to... You keep overdosing them. I can only put the bodies somewhere, Master. The bats are fat from all the children they've been eating. I can't do it, Master. I failed you. I'm a bad surrogate father. You're kind of an enabler.
Don't worry, Alfred. Here, have some bat candy.
Oh, thank you, Master. Oh. He just like blacks out, he puts him in the car, and then drags Alfred away. Alfred's gonna wake up in like scaly green tights, and he's like, "What? Master, what was that? Was that a cloud with the gun? Oh, I've been shot!" You suck, Master Wayne. No, but that's the thing, like, Buddy is... I understand from one perspective how the sympathy works.
Yeah.
You meet your hero, and you put them on this pedestal, and you idolize them for everything they stand for, and they suck.
Yeah. but even though Mr. Incredible doesn't really do anything that's...
You know, that's the thing is, like... Mr. Incredible wasn't in the wrong at any point, though, because it's like, I'm your sidekick, I'm Incrediboy. No. It's dangerous to do this. Stay here. Hey, you're fighting a terrorist that bombs buildings. Why are you here?
Let me go get the police. Bob's put onto his cape. Oh my God!
Like, what are you doing? And then then you have that scene where he's talking to Syndrome as an adult, and he's like, you know, I've learned you can't count on anybody, especially your heroes. You're so delusional that you never at one point in your development from childhood to adulthood ever realized. I was like 10, and I was trying to fight people. I was trying to fight like terrorists
with bombs
that were French and looked like mimes. Yeah. Instead, he just like snapped at age 10, and I guess it's almost funny because it's almost like Batman, where it's like this kid didn't get the therapy he actually needed, so he's super screwed up. And it's not wrong. Yeah. Like he became this sycophant. He was the sycophant who. To some extent, Mr. Incredible definitely could have handled this a little bit cleaner.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think he was 100% in the wrong with it, where he says things where it's like, go home, I work alone. Because, like, think of all the things he was going through on that day. I have to get to my wedding. I had to stop carjacking. I had to save a cat from a tree. There's a freaking French guy blowing stuff up. Now this idiot, now I have to go stop the train.
I have to jump across in the air to basically catch a guy mid-drop.
I have to stop a suicide idiot who could kill somebody on the street with his stupidity.
Yeah.
You know, I side with Bob on his backlash of like screaming, "You're not affiliated with me."
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is it would be irresponsible. What kind of jerk would take a child and put them in Oh, hey, thanks, WHYBOY. Oh!
Batman.
No, but that's the thing. Like, it would be so irresponsible to take a child, even if though he's a wicked smart kid, because he made like jet boots at like age 10.
Yeah.
So I mean, wicked smart kid.
Like, he could still be a superhero, obviously, but
Yeah, but he only wants to be a superhero if he's riding on his coattails.
yeah, and that's sort of the poisonous thing about it.
Yeah, well, even then, it goes into his adulthood, because his whole master plan, build a giant robot, test it against all the other supers, so it learns how to defeat everybody else.
Yeah.
So it's designed specifically like, only I could win.
Yeah. Yeah, it shows just like how if any other superhero just shows up, they'll get crushed, and I'll just come in and just like, oh, I win! I beat the robot! I'm the greatest super ever!
Yeah, which in and of itself is just like how he was as a child, where it's like, you're all about coattail riding. That's it. That's your only game plan, is to coattail ride. Mr. Incredible, you want to be Incrediboy, and you wanted to coattail ride that. Even as an adult, you wanted to defeat all the other heroes, so you could build yourself out and coat ride on that reputation of, look how much better I am than everybody else.
Yeah.
Because you're a selfish little twit.
Yeah, then you just compare that to Bob, who was never like riding coattails or anything. Like, even his whole journey through all this, it wasn't for any sort of fame or anything like that.
No, honestly, it was just about feeling good.
Yeah.
Which is it's very human, because we all want to feel appreciated or wanted. We all want validation. I think deep down, one of the human desires of life is validation.
Right.
Because if you're at a job you hate, you feel like you accomplished nothing, and you feel nothing's worth it.
Yeah.
So I think it's one of the reasons why a lot of us as video producers do what we do, because it's creative, and when we see people talk to us about it, there's a sense of validation.
Yeah, even just discussion. Like, we're not saying, like, you gotta agree with us, just agree!
No.
There's a validation through discussion, even when you're wrong. When you're wrong, there's only that validation if someone took the time to really think and basically come up with a counter-argument to you. That basically validates the whole discussion.
Yeah, and even then, between wrong and right, it depends on the situation.
Yeah.
You know, because if it's a matter of opinion, if it's an opinion-based discussion, there's no right or wrong, really.
Not on the internet.
Not on the internet. I like the idea of, it's like Watchmen for kids, and even to an extent, even adults, because there's some really good adult humor that I think would go over a kid's head. Like when Miss Incredible checks out her hips and she's like, pregnancy kind of ruined me, which... No!
No, she looks really good.
She looks fantastic. Again, I don't want to be a jerk here, but like her husband went way worse after they had kids compared to her.
Yeah, he was round belly.
Like he was fat. He had a huge paunch. She looked fine. And it's like, your hips are wider. That's not a bad thing. What's wrong with you?
You just shut up, Elastic Girl. People.
Also, you super stretch. Just compress your hips.
Yeah.
Like
Come on.
She literally has the ability, if she wants bigger boobies or a bigger booty, she could do it whenever she wants.
Yeah.
That's the weirdest thing about that joke, where it's like, it's funny, doesn't really kind of make sense when you take into account what your abilities are. I mean,
maybe she just likes her regular body. And it's just...
I like her regular body. I don't know what she's complaining about. And the thing with Syndrome is, though, I get it. You have a person you idolize, and they turn out to be, in his eyes, terrible.
Yeah. Not who you thought it would be.
You know, and then he grows up, and he's vindictive, and he's bitter. And he's got that pessimistic worldview where it's like, what was it? If, because they reiterate the line twice, where Dash is talking with his mom, because he gets called into the principal's office for obviously putting a tack on somebody's chair.
Yeah. And basically the line is, if everyone is super, no one is.
Yeah, which is, you know, it's a way of saying, like, you know, because his mom even says, like, you know, everybody's special, Dash. And Dash goes, yeah, that's a nice way of saying that nobody's special. Mm-hmm. Because when you say, like, everybody's special, people think it loses meaning. I personally don't believe that. I do believe that everybody has something unique about them.
Yeah, there's a positive spin on it, but there is definitely a pessimistic way of looking at it.
Oh, yeah, it's easy to say.
When you say special, like, that's just such a
vague blanket statement to make it, like, mean nothing.
Yeah, it's just like coming up to a little 6-year-old, just like, you know, little Timmy, you're a special little boy. You got something right here.
I do?
Yes. What's special about you? I don't know.
No, and that's the thing where it's like, I do agree, because I think as a kid, when you hear it,
Sounds like crap.
it sounds like bull. It really does. It's, it comes along with those phrases like, oh, you'll get married, and you'll have the picket fence, and the dog, and you'll live happily ever after, and reality doesn't always work that way.
No.
So when you say, like, everybody's special, it sounds like such a hand-wavy unvalidation if you actually have a unique talent.
Yeah. It's just like, you're as special as everybody else.
Yeah, and, like, when you hear it, it does sound pessimistic, but there is a degree of optimism, because Bob sees it as the optimistic view, where it's like, he is unique, he is special,
And he just wants to be able to use that uniqueness.
yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that, because he's exceptional.
And Syndrome uses it as the pessimistic sort of viewpoint, because he's just going to be the only special one, and then when he passes away, no one's going to be special afterwards. And
Yeah,
he's gonna make it that way.
because he's selfish.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like, there is a sympathetic angle there, but it's also like, you're just a jerk.
Yeah.
Pure and simple. You are a scumbag.
Yeah, that really makes Syndrome like one of the most strongest, I would say, Disney villains that we've seen.
I'm sure that one commenter now, I have you know, he's not Disney, but he's Pixar, which is owned by Disney. So, shut up. It's Disney.
Yeah.
And I think, also, he's just probably one of the most evil Disney... Because,
yeah.
like, he's got a hell of a body count if you think about it. I mean, you could debate Lion King. It's like, Scar has to have a body count because he caused, like, mass starvation in the Pride Lands. But we don't see the outcome of that.
Yeah, but this one, you can actually have almost a number to how many supers he's killed.
These are people with lives.
Yeah, these are people who have saved lives and such, who are, like, almost the golden examples of people that are showing the goodness in the world. And he just...
Yeah, and he kills them left and right. Like crazy.
With a snap of his finger, basically.
And, I love that too because it adds world building. So, like, you see, like, when Bob is, like, reading the newspaper, it goes by really quick, but he reads a newspaper article and he points out that it says, like, this guy's been missing. And he goes...
Yeah, it's like a hero advocate disappeared and he says his actual superhero name.
Yeah, he looks and he's like, Gazer Beam.
Yeah, it's like, oh.
That's strange.
And then he talks to his other hero friend later that night to basically say, like, hey, have you ever talked to, like, our old heroes and all that? It's like, man, I don't talk to any of our old heroes anymore except for you.
I just talk to you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to have a normal life.
Yeah, so it leads into a little bit of a subplot that has more...
Heroes have gone missing.
Yeah, more the heroes have gone missing subplot. That doesn't really have sort of like a big narrative sort of point to it, but it has a more emotional payoff at the end of it.
Yeah, well, that's also kind of lifted from Watchmen, where the whole start of Watchmen happens because the comedian is murdered. It feels lived in. It feels like a real world then, because, like, those things exist. And, it's even like that with, like, basic dialogue between characters. Like when Mrs. Incredible's talking to her kids and they're on the island.
Yeah.
And she says, remember those cartoons you used to watch on Saturday mornings all the time?
Yeah.
Where, like, the bad guys would come after you, but, like, they never hurt the kids? And they're like, yeah this is nothing like that. These people will try and kill you. Do not give them a chance.
Yeah, if you give them a chance, don't do it.
And that's the thing where it's like, that's the realism, where it's like, they watch Saturday morning cartoons like we did growing up. And yeah, on Saturday morning cartoons,
they're just like, yeah, I got you kids now, I'm gonna tie you up.
Mustache and stuff. Yeah, and that's the thing, is like, that's that realism. I think in terms of, I guess maybe some people want us to talk about Frozone. He's just a cool side character, pure and simple.
Yeah.
Played by Sam Jackson, who loves superheroes. He owns the role. I hope he has a bigger part in the sequel.
Yeah. In the grand scheme of things, he's not a big part of this one. He basically is more the world building sort of aspect. Basically,
so, Bob has a best friend.
Bob has a best friend. He still has hero pals and all that, and he goes out to basically still superhero around.
Like in secret, yeah.
Yeah, because if it was just by himself, it would basically be a lot harder for him to hide it.
Well, that, and also in terms of, like, exposition getting released from a narrative structure.
Yeah.
He would be, like, all alone in his car, and he's like, man, I can't believe Gazer Beam's, like, got... Oh, there's no one sitting next to me. I really wish, like, the writers would create a character I could interact with, so I could get exposition out, but not in a clunky manner.
Yeah, just put a doll right there. It's like, hey, buddy.
Would it have been funny if he, like, turned in the car? I'm Incredible! Not again!
Snaps his neck.
He, like, freaks out.
Oh, God, I gotta go to a therapist now.
No, but that's the thing. I think having Lucius is great because it's more lived in, and there's always like little things where like he sees. After he stops like a crime, he sees Frozone and he's like, "Hey, Frozone, how you doing?" And he goes, "Hey, man, you're gonna be late if you don't hurry it up." And it's like, I gotta get to the chapel. My buddy's watching my back so I don't screw up this marriage.
Yeah, and like this is the best thing about The Incredibles. It's a very lived-in sort of movie.
It feels like a superhero universe that exists, as opposed to like
that existed beforehand and can exist afterwards.
Yeah, where it's like, okay. When they do the first Marvel film, like Iron Man, you know, the idea is that this is the start of the superheroes. Like, it's Iron Man. Obviously, as they made movies, they eventually kept doing movies, like, they do movies in the past and stuff, and it's like, oh, Thor's been around for, like, 5,000 years or something, and Captain America's been around since, like, the 40s, and, you know, blah, blah, blah.
It just makes it a little, like, pop into existence sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which makes it a little less, you know, free-flowing and all that, which is why I don't particularly just get initially invested in them. Like, these characters, these heroes, I'm more invested in.
Because this feels like it just... They exist. Like, remember I asked you, I said, you ever notice they don't go over how these people have their gifts, whether they're metahumans or bang babies or something? Yeah. Instead it's just, there's a guy, his name's Mr. Incredible, he's super strong, he's super durable. There's a woman named Elastigirl and she stretches. Yeah,
you know, there's nothing wrong with the explanation of it. Like, I love the bang babies and Static Shock and even the quirks in My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
Like, those still flesh out the world and stuff.
They explain where those powers come from, and this one's just like, this is a world where superhero exists. If you've read comic books, it's like that.
Yeah.
It's like an extension of just that concept. You don't really need to know where their powers come from. I'd be personally just fascinated to hear that story if it's well told. But if they didn't, I really don't mind where it's just like, this is just a world where people have powers. And it's a fairly common occurrence because superheroes existed for a while.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that. That works for me in terms of a narrative.
Yeah, I'm fine with that too. But I think we should more talk about like the part where we...
Oh, the weak point?
Yeah, the really biggest weak point of this movie.
It's the kids.
Yeah, it's unfortunately the kids. Like, I don't think they're necessarily...
They're not terrible.
They're not necessarily bad characters. They're very just their characters.
I feel like... There's a term in comics. It doesn't fully apply to this, but it sort of does. And I believe the term's called fridging. And it comes from... There's a story at DC Comics where... Kyle Rayner, the Green Lantern, had a girlfriend, and a supervillain murders her. And to get Kyle to get off his ass, when Kyle came home and he opened his refrigerator, her body was like dismembered and shoved in his refrigerator. And, you know, it's just there for emotional resonance. And even if it was just his wife, I feel like the impact would still be there. I feel like the kids are only there because it's like, look, unless you're a douchebag, you know, the idea of dead kids is sad.
It's like, wait a minute. The mouse needs to talk to you. We need kids in this movie for that audience over there, okay?
People are sad when kids die!
Mickey Mouse, I thought I was talking to somebody else. Oh God, Mickey, no!
Mickey's got problems. No, but that's sort of my thing is that, like... I don't mind Dash and Violet, but Dash and Violet are very clearly the weakest point of everything narratively. Even characterization-wise, they're very basic archetypes. He's a hyperactive speedball, and she is a introvert.
Yeah.
And she's not even really goth.
Yeah,
because
no,
like,
she's just introvert. Like I made the joke like she has the emo fringe on her face, but that's all just a more just show.
That's a visual aesthetic.
Yeah, that's the visual thematics of it. Just like, oh, I need to hide myself.
Because she, like, much like her name, Violet, she's a shrinking violet. So what is so what are her powers? She wants to fade away, and she puts up barriers. Everything else is so clever in this movie. Why is that just so blatantly boring?
Yeah. And Dash is hyperactive and dashes.
It's
like,
so,
I feel what could have really
weak.
just helped them is like there was some. Like when you talked about that scene in the montage where Bob and Dash actually had that moment where they're throwing the football together. Like that was a strong moment.
Yeah, at least it's a father-son bonding moment, but it's like, and I don't do anything with Violet. She just sort of, seriously, she's in this movie.
Like there could have been a scene where he just walks past her and is like, hey Violet, hey Dad.
And it would have been even nice if we just had a moment of like fatherly advice. I really would have loved it if they just did a scene where she's like really confused. She doesn't know how to talk to this boy, and she's like, you know, maybe her mom's out with Dash and they're shopping.
Yeah. So
she's just stuck with her dad, and he just sits down with her, and she's like, I don't know how to talk to him, and her dad just goes, did you ever try just talking to him?
Yeah.
He's a kid just like you. So trust me, he's probably just as afraid of you as you are of him.
Yeah, and it turned out that was true.
Yeah, and like that one scene like that would have done so much because like even her getting together with that guy at the end for a date, it's like, who cares?
Yeah. It's like, oh, they got a movie date.
Like, it's more creepy because like she like stares at him longingly and then phases out, and you're like, that's just creepy, man. That's this is literally like one step away from being just like Buddy was at the opening start of the film.
Well, yeah, it just makes it a little bit more disappointing. Like, the family dynamic is still there, definitely, of course.
Oh yeah, the introverted, like, shy daughter, the, bombastic middle child who craves attention.
Yeah, and their powers are super unique, and basically they know how to really use it in clever ways.
Yeah, I think the weakness is just that narratively, the other two don't fully add anything to a point in the movie where it's like, it's almost like they don't really have any cool crowning moments of awesome. It's kind of close.
More of their action set pieces of their crowning moments, and there's nothing thematic about that to basically draw you in emotionally. It's
just a cool sight.
It's a cool visual spectacle. Like Elastigirl and Bob have many moments like that to basically show a lot of them. Like the greatest action moment for her is when she's basically just stuck in that huge hallway where her leg gets caught in the door, then she stretches
get caught in the door,
and then she gets stuck in the elevator where her arms is like.
I love the fact that that guy didn't think to move away or nothing. He just stood there and waited until she felt out his jawline and then sucked him in the face.
Yeah, that's funny. But then the more emotional scenes later, she has that classic one where she's basically sitting at home in the living room, turns on the lights, like, you're home late. Like, above anything else, that's what I almost want from The Incredibles 2, more than anything.
I want more with the kids. Like,
I want more with the kids.
They need to feel like they're... Look, if you're going to spend time writing them, and you're going to spend money animating them, and you're going to spend money on actors to portray them, you need to do more with them. Otherwise, they just feel superfluous.
They need to have a thematic purpose to the whole narrative.
And presence.
Yeah.
Because, like, I'm trying to think, like... Okay, like... The stuff on the plane with her is good. With Violet is good. Like, because, like... all these times you tell me not to use my powers, not to use my powers. Now in the worst, most crucial moment, you're telling me to use my powers, and she freaks out. And it's like, you're a teenager. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, like like there are strong moments like that. Like even in the moments where like Dash and Violet are just in the woods together and basically just sleeping each other. He goes like, oh no.
Yeah, it's a brother-sister thing.
Yeah, there's like cute brother-sister moments, and they could actually be great characters, just not enough an emotional resonance to basically really attach to you, like you attach to Elastigirl and Bob.
Yeah, because at least Elastigirl, she had the talk with Dash, and at least with Bob, he played catch with him.
Yeah.
But it's like, Violet falls so far by the wayside that's like she's forgotten.
Yeah, there was a talk at the dinner table with her about the boy, but it wasn't even really directed at her.
No, it was more like she was just arguing with her brother, and Helen just was sitting there hearing it. And she's like, oh, this sucks.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, but... above all and large, like, where would you rate Incredibles?
Oh, dude, this to me not only is a must-see, and I would honestly argue this is probably one of Disney's best animated films.
Hey, wait a minute. You mean Pixar?
No, I'm at Disney because, damn it, they own it, so it doesn't matter. The only difference is that Pixar doesn't regurgitate musicals nearly as much as the other half.
That's fair.
That's really the only difference.
I'll rate it a must-see too. It is a smart. It is action-packed.
It's funny.
Yeah, funny in ways that are just like leagues above most of the other anime movies that we've seen around. No pop cultural references or any of that sort of crap. That's
like DreamWorks' biggest folly is that it's like they come in like pulling up their pants like they're the big kid, and they're like, man, look how cool we are, and then you realize when you like take a step back, it's like DreamWorks movies feel like something 13-year-olds write to be cool.
They just pull up their phones just like, well, what's popular right now? Dabbing.
Yeah, like if you go off of if you apply it to like DuckTales logic,
yeah,
Disney and Pixar are like Scrooge and Donald, like they're old-fashioned but charming.
Yeah.
DreamWorks is like Mark Beeks, or they're like trying to be new and cool, and really they're just kind of annoying. And you're like, stop it! Stop embarrassing yourself! Stop embarrassing me for knowing you're being an embarrassment. And I think in terms of animation criticism, for the most part, holds up.
Yeah, holds up very well.
Except for some background stuff.
Yep, some background stuff. Some of the water effects are a little bit bleh.
Some of the characters, like Bob and his family, solid. Frozone, solid. Even
Edna?
Rick. No, well, yeah, actually Edna too. She looks great.
Yeah.
And Rick, the government official that talks to Bob.
Yeah.
Even Bob's boss, played by Wallace Shawn, still looks good. The one that falls apart is like civilians and cops look horrible.
Yeah, because they feel like less time was put onto them because.
Yeah, they don't really do anything.
Yeah, they're in the background. They're just like, yeah, supers. That's screw supers.
Yeah, like look, those are just fill-in characters. We need to get the models done.
Yeah.
And put in the background. Look, characters that are important, they're gonna look great. Mirage looks good. Syndrome looks good. Sure, he kind of looks like Vegeta a little bit.
With ice cream cone hair.
With ice cream hair. You know, Frozone looks great. Jack looks great. Even the babysitter actually was a solid character design.
Yeah.
Then you get to like those two cops we saw, and we're just like,
He's like, one bug eye. Mm.
that guy. Did you ever see Monster House?
Yeah.
Do you remember the old guy that was like in love with the fat chick?
Yeah.
That cop looks like the dude that was in love with the fat chick from Monster House.
Yeah, I can see it.
It looks like they took that model, which is weird because I know it's a different company, so it's like,
Like,
how'd you guys get so close? And I'm pretty sure those movies were years apart too,
Yeah.
so it's even more confusing why it's like, huh, that's remarkably
yeah,
close.
it's weird. I think we can really just close off this sort of discussion with just like asking what do we want from Incredibles 2, just from the base stuff that we heard. Like base stuff that I've heard is just basically it's focusing more on Helen the Elastigirl, like her going off doing the superhero thing, and Bob's a stay-at-home parent this time.
I am concerned that this is going to be. I've always had this criticism about Disney ever since I was a kid, and I still do now, where it's like, you guys clearly favor female protagonists over males. And there's nothing wrong with it, but my criticism that comes with that is like, it seems like you do that because you know that every time you do a property where it's like a male protagonist, those are the properties that don't sell as well. Like Hercules did fine, but it didn't do as good as we wanted.
Yeah.
You know, Tarzan did alright, but it's not as good as we would have wanted. Emperor's New Groove, which people seem to love, didn't do as good as we wanted. Great Mouse Detective, Atlantis the Lost Empire, Treasure Planet, and it's like, I noticed a pattern that when you guys do something where like the lead character is a male, they don't seem to make the money, so you kind of backtrack. Because even Moana, from what I had read, Maui was supposed to be the lead character.
Yeah, from what I saw from the first trailer and such, it was mostly about Maui, and Moana was just the one sitting by the campfire, just like, oh, well, like he's saying his story. I don't know what to say about that.
And then like I had heard like in post they were like, what if we make it about Moana? And it's like, oh goody, another Disney princess that wants to do something with her life. Can we stop doing the one Disney thing that you do? At least with, again, this is why Pixar to me is the superior storytelling company, because even though you could argue, you could probably say all their movies are X has feelings.
Yeah.
It always feels still kind of different.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's just basically just the broad idea of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because there is much more deeper story to each one. Like, whether it be the road trip story, like the Saving the Day story, anything like that.
Yes. That's the thing, is my concern is that they're doing it because it's like, if we make her the lead character, that'll make us a lot of money. Because we're in a social climate right now where it's all about female empowerment. And I don't mind that we're doing things with female empowerment.
Yeah.
My concern has always been,
Fake.
do you feel like you're full of crap when you do the female empowerment angle?
That's what I always hated about the female empowerment, mostly in a lot of media these days, because it's really fake female empowerment. But definitely in the large scheme of things, Disney just likes their female protagonists more than their male protagonists.
It's the stuff that makes them the most money. That's why they have the princess line, and that's why. I mean, we haven't seen the trailer for Wreck-It Ralph, but we saw still images where it's like, look at all the Disney princesses, look at all the toys we got.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah. So that's my fear. I'm fine with Helen being the lead character. I adore Helen. Because the first movie was Bob's story. Honestly, if they made it a 4-movie project where each movie focuses on one member of the Incredibles, I'd be down.
Yeah, that would be incredible, because now I want to see in Incredibles 2 where the kids play more of a role with Helen's life, because in the first movie she was a stay-at-home mom and such, and now she'll have to just work through the fear of basically just being away from her kids' lives and such.
Exactly.
Because that's a huge thing for a stay-at-home mom just go into the workforce because you're basically changing up your whole life. Where you were there for your kids always.
Always going to be thinking like the back of her head. Like, in my opinion, like logically, being that you were a stay-at-home mom for so long and now you're going, out back into the workforce, I can't help but think in the back of your head you're always like, oh God, what's happening with the kids? Because you're not there.
Yeah, because and there could be sort of an emotional conflict because the moment where she stops thinking about that, she starts to feel removed from the kids' lives, and when she starts to go back into them, she'll feel alienated from it. It's just like,
I hope there's not going to be like a weird scene where she's like, I resent my husband for getting closer to our children. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, no, I do not.
Don't do that. That's weird.
No, I want them to still be a family unit. I want them to basically just grow from this as a family.
Yeah.
I don't want to be just regressed as it.
Yeah, I want this, honestly, I just want this to be like a strong family movie more than anything. Like, I already had one good, remarkably strong family movie this year, and it was Deadpool, of all things, because Deadpool 2 is at its core, it is a movie about family.
Yeah.
And that's what I want out of Incredibles 2. But that's the thing. I want the key out of this at the end of the day. I want it to be a family film. I want the family to feel connected. I'm fine with dealing with things like she feels isolated because she feels removed out of her children's lives and out of her husband's life doing the heroics. I'm fine with that. But I do not want a scene where she I resent my husband for getting closer to our kids. If you choose to go back into the workforce, you don't get the luxury of saying, I'm angry at my husband for getting closer. You left to go do something.
Yeah, you're fine to do that, but you can't resent them for making your own choice.
I don't want it to be like that disgusting episode of King of the Hill. So there's an episode of the King of the Hill where basically in the episode Bobby's doing home ec, and obviously if you know Hank's very uptight about that because he's like, oh, home ec, that's kind of
girly.
That's girly. It's woman's work. And it's not like he's a bigot or anything, but he grew up in a house where that was very prominent. And he is progressive, but he's very slow at progressive.
Yeah, he's just a very straight-laced guy. Just like he has this one worldview, and he can change, but he just basically takes a long time to get there.
Yeah, like there's like a part where Bobby comes in and he goes, Dad, I got some bad news. And he looks at him and Bobby goes, I baked a cake. And Hank just goes, no. And he's like, he looks like he's heartbroken. It's like, it's not like he killed somebody, Hank. He baked a cake. But then, like, as the episode progresses, like, as he tries Bobby's cooking, he gets really into the idea of Bobby cooking. He's, like, really proud of his son because it's like, you're becoming self-reliant and you're getting these awesome skills. That's fantastic. And the more he does this, all of a sudden, his mom freaking despises her son because she's not the center of attention. And it's disgusting and creepy. And it even gets to a point where she gets so angry because, like, Thanksgiving's coming up, and Hank and Peggy, to get him in trouble, to get Bobby in trouble with Hank, gets out a cookbook and she's like, Hank, look what Bobby's been doing. I think it's time you had that talk with them. Because she wants to break Bobby down and make him feel bad about himself. And then Hank looks at the cookbook and goes, Bobby, can you get in here? Do you think you can make this turkey on Thanksgiving? This looks really good. And he's like, oh, I don't know, Dad. That's going to take a couple hours. It's a good thing I started prepping it last night. And Hank just looks at me and goes, you almost got me, Bobby. And Peggy gets so fed up that she steals the turkey from the oven and just runs away with it on like Bobby's bike because she feels so unloved. And she's like, my husband cares about my son more than me. What kind of horrible person are you that you made a competition with your kid for your husband? I don't want that. That's my greatest fear out of this.
Yeah, I don't want it to be a competition of love between the kids and all that. That's disgusting.
That's the worst thing you could do for a family dynamic because this shows a family that's screwed up.
Yeah.
That's not a healthy family.
That's a family sort of imploding on itself.
Yeah. That's like a Family Guy family.
Gross. But we'll have to wait till about next week now.
Yeah.
Incredibles 2 is coming.
And we're going to go see that, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to post it the next day.
Yep. We're going to see it. We're going to see if it's good. And if it's not, damn you, Mouse.
I hope it is, because Pixar has, like... I guess in terms between, Pixar has a better track record, because Toy Story 2 and Toy Story 3 are good, but Cars sucks from start to finish.
Yeah, we were, from what I saw, we were the only ones that were just, like, super mad about Cars 3 and such, like, oh my god, this crap is awful.
It sucks!
It was so infuriating.
And then, I try to think of other Disney movies that have sequels, and it's like, I don't think there are any Are there any theatrical sequels to animated Disney films? Like I thought about, it's like Cinderella, that was all DVD. Mulan was DVD. Aladdin was DVD. There was another one.
Rescuers was DVD.
Was the second one DVD? No, I think the second one was theaters actually, and that one was actually conceived better than the first one.
Yeah.
Can you think of a time where Disney made sequels, theatrical sequels, that are good? We know Frozen's on the way, and we know Wreck-It Ralph is this year?
Yeah, Wreck-It Ralph 2, whether it's like later in the year or anything like that, we'll be watching that. Yeah. And we'll see if Disney can really just surprise us this year.
It would be nice if they could get the sequel train to work, because obviously they're a corporation, they want franchises. That's why they keep upchucking a Star Wars film every year.
Yeah.
It's clearly indicated by this year, because Solo, it went down like the Empire at the end of A New Hope.
But that was watching stuff, guys. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, I really appreciate you for stopping by and being with us on this adventure. What do you guys think about The Incredibles? Do you think it still stands up? Do you think, oh, maybe it was good back then, but it's not good now? Do you think now Disney's only doing a sequel because Brad Bird really believes in the story, or superhero movies are just popular?
Yeah, and like us, do you actually like the kids? Do you have a thematic sort of purpose of the story? Put all your thoughts in the comments below and let's have a discussion on it.
Yeah, actually I would love that. I would love to do a reading your comments response to this video and engage with the audience about The Incredibles. I would love to do that, guys. So comment, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff.
Hit the little bell notification to see all of our new videos when we're doing live streams, watching stuff, cartoon corners, or anything else in between, because we're going to be together for a long time. We're going to be doing a whole lot of stuff.
We're looking at hopefully 2 months of hanging out and doing stuff together.
Yeah.
So, as always, be sure to tune in
to ToonGrin.